All right. Aloha, guys.
Uh,
Welcome back to our Seasider series for today. We are glad to have you guys here, and hopefully we'll have more people join as we go along. Usually we do. So, yeah, we're glad to have you guys here today. As always, we'll begin by introducing ourselves. My name is Caden. I'm the head of our Engage Activities and Seasider series. And with me today, we actually have two co-hosts, and they are new. They are new to our office, so this is their first day here. They are very excited to meet with you guys.
What's up, everybody? Hey, we're both international students, so we're super excited to join the ISS and help serve you guys.
Yeah, so they can take turns introducing themselves. We can have
All right. So this is Jake from South Korea, and as he mentioned earlier, we just got hired on ISS office. I'm excited to work here, and this is my freshman year, and I just finished my second semester, and I'm currently majoring in IT. So nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm Joe. I'm from Canada. I've got like 2 years left for my degree. I study computer science and peace building. I've had a lot of, experience trying to figure out all the international student stuff that comes with being here. So, like I said, excited to be able to help you guys as much as possible.
Yes. So yeah, we're very glad to have them here today. And like I said, they are brand new and excited to share with you guys. And so our subject for today is working as an international student. And we'll start the presentation in a second. Sorry, I just need to sign into something. Yeah, they haven't met you guys yet. I met some of you guys, but they have some questions to ask you guys all the time.
Yeah, where are you guys from? That's what I want to know.
One by one.
Yeah, or either type it in chat or
Yeah.
You guys can just type it too if you don't want to. Where's everyone? Oh, Guangzhen passed his interview yesterday. That is awesome. Congratulations.
I'm from the Philippines.
Ryan, from the Philippines. Cool. Okay. Where are you from, Lisa?
I'm from Japan.
And cool. Solomon, Cherry, what about you guys?
That's okay. We understand being shy to talk on the Zoom. We've been in the Zoom classes as well. But we're glad to have you guys here, and yeah, I love seeing the familiar faces. So yeah, now we can go ahead and get started. Sorry, one of our advisors wanted me to send them the link, so that took a second. But now I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right. So as I said, our topic for today is working as an international student, and we can go ahead and get going. So when you come here to campus at BYU Hawaii, there are a lot of different opportunities available to you for work and academic experiences. And so we're going to go over a bunch of different information about, working here on campus. So we'll talk about some of the different jobs that you can get. We'll talk about how to apply for jobs. We'll talk about some of the rules and regulations that once you do have a job to keep in mind when you're working. And we'll also talk about internships, which usually fall under AT and OPT, is what they're known as. And yeah. All right, so to start out, we thought it would be good to talk about how to apply for jobs, because that's how you get a job in the first place. So first of all, if you're an iWork student, they usually have an orientation for their students once they arrive, and at the orientation they'll list out several different available jobs, and they'll actually have you go and apply, and I think maybe even do interviews for jobs at the orientation. None of us are iWork, but some of our other student team members are, and that's what they told us about the iWork orientation. And they told us that, you know, they didn't really know what was going to happen at the orientation before, so we thought it would be good to share for any of you guys who are iWork. For anyone who isn't iWork, you know, you'll just have to apply for jobs yourself, just like all of us did, and it's pretty easy to do. So basically, I feel like the kind of the easiest or one of the main ways to find jobs on campus is to go to the BYU Hawaii job board. And if you just Google like BYU Hawaii jobs or BYU Hawaii job board, it'll come up with a link to it. And we also have the link right here, which I can share at the end of the presentation as well.
But you go just on the BYU Hawaii website and then go to My BYU Student and then just scroll down. There's like the employment and then it'll take you right to the job board.
Boom. Yeah. And so we have a screenshot of the kind of the job board or the entrance to the job board right here. And so you can see it asks you if you're currently working somewhere or if you're not. And so if you aren't, then you would click on this external job board for student jobs. And that's where you would look for your first job. And then Joe also brought up another way to look for jobs.
Yeah, just if you follow kind of all the different social media pages that the school has, like Seasider Sports or even International Student Services here, that's how I found this job. Is they just posted, hey, like we're looking for somebody. So I saw that, then I went on to the job board after seeing that on social media and applied for it. So I'd say that's just one strategy, is just kind of follow the different social media pages here on campus to be aware of just different opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
You know, another one I'm thinking of too, actually, is how I've gotten like 2 jobs. It's just being friends with the professors, like getting to know your professors well. That way you can become a TA, which is a really good job. And I've done research that way too, like being a research assistant. And that was just from, you know, being attentive in class and maintaining a relationship with your professor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like that's true for a lot of jobs in general in life. Is, you know, the more connections you can make, the easier it'll often be to find jobs.
Yeah, just ask questions in class, I guess. And get to know your professors.
Yeah. So yeah, and then continuing on with applying for jobs, once you click on that external job board, it'll take you into Workday, which is kind of the website or application that pretty much all the on-campus jobs use. And it'll list out all the different jobs that have been posted recently that you can apply for. So this was a screenshot I took from like a day or 2 ago. And like every day there's different jobs that are being posted. So you can just kind of browse through and see which jobs there are, see if they, you know, work for with your schedule, and you can click on them and it'll tell you more about them. And then once you click on it, you'll also have the option to apply for it and fill out the application. And yeah, that's how it's done.
Yeah, there's an option too. If you've applied once already, you can just click a button and it'll automatically apply to the job for you without you even having to do anything. So that's super nice as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so yeah, that's basically the gist of applying for jobs. So yeah, we talked about a few different ways, but there are quite a few jobs here on campus. And so if you're
One thing I would add is you can have up to 5 job applications open at a time. So if you're really looking for a job, I'd say go ahead and apply for 5 different jobs.
That's the best way.
Yeah, that's I think my first week I started here, I just applied for a bunch of different jobs, 5, and I got a job that week, and it was really good.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah. So now that we've gone through applying, you know, the 2 main places to work are directly on campus and at the PCC. And so we thought it would be good, you know, just to, you know, tell you guys a little bit about some of the jobs that are available. So first, there are many jobs at the PCC, and if you're iWork, I think you're required to work at the PCC for a certain amount of time as well. At least you used to be. So one of the main branches at the PCC is the guest services branch, and these are the workers who kind of work directly with the guests and show them around the center. And so I actually used to work in guest services. I was a canoe guide. The canoe guides fall under the guest services department. And so what I did was that I pushed canoes. In this picture, you can see the young Caden right there, and everyone else on my shift. But you would push a canoe full of guests and down this lagoon that goes through the PCC, and we would give them a tour of all the different islands that are in the PCC. And I worked for 6 hours a day, 3 days a week. Yeah, it was a good job, and I had a lot of fun. And also in the guest services department, there are direct tour guides. So they don't push canoes, but they give tours to guests just walking through the PCC, and they kind of give more in-depth tours than the canoes. They can last all day sometimes.
And also, if you want, you can give a tour in your own language.
Mhm.
We have like MPG, which is English language, but also we have like Korean, like Japanese, Tagalog, or a bunch of languages are there. So if you want to serve in your own language, you can apply for this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great opportunity. And then there's also the villages themselves that you could have the opportunity to work in. So in the villages, you'd usually be a dancer and just also, yeah. You'll do a lot of dancing, and then you'll also just do random work around the village as well. I believe for the villages, you have to like at least look Polynesian. So if you are Polynesian, then you for sure can get in. But even if you aren't, if you look Polynesian, then you could still also possibly work there. There's also the night show, which is another dancing. Actually, the night show has a few different jobs in it as well. So there's dancers in the night show. So if you don't know, there's a night show every night at the PCC that's in a kind of a auditorium, and they do a dance performance every night. And so there's dancers in it, obviously, but there's also a lot of other jobs involved with it. Like there's lights people, there's ushers who let people in, there's people who work behind the scenes on the stage. And so there's a lot of job opportunities there. There's also several places to eat at the PCC, and they always need people to work at the luau's and at different restaurants at the PCC marketplace. And then just like every organization, of course, there's management people and HR people. And they do have student employees in those offices as well. A lot of the time it's after they've worked for a while in some other job at the PCC, but an opportunity to work there as well. And then there's also security guards. There's people who work at the facilities who clean up the PCC, and there's even more as well. Jake also worked at the PCC. So
right. So I mean, I just got hired today, but right before coming here, I was working as customer service clerk at PCC. So as an international student, I highly recommend you to get a job at PCC for your first job, because if you're working at PCC, you can feel the Hawaiian feeling, and also there's many opportunity to speak to your customers, which makes your language ability more better. So yeah, it's really good place.
Yeah. I think Jake had a really good point. That's something I really liked about working at the PCC as well, is that you get a feel for the culture of all the different islands, and also just all the other workers who are at the PCC. You can learn about their cultures as well. So,
I mean, working on campus is good, but if you just stay on campus, I mean, you will not feel those feelings not as much as at PCC. So yeah.
So yeah, it's a really cool opportunity. And then, as well as PCC, there are also tons of jobs available on campus as well. All three of us right now are working in an on-campus job. And so some of the examples of jobs on campus are one like Joe mentioned was the teaching assistant. They help professors grade, and he knows more about it than me. But
yeah, they just, like that, help professors grade, and just even sometimes help organize the curriculum, stuff like that. It's a pretty good job, and on top of that, kind of the relationship you develop with your professors too is just invaluable in helping you get a job after, or just make more connections.
And then just like at PCC, there are multiple places to eat on campus, and the main one being the CAF. and so they always need workers as well. And then there are also just different departments on campus. Basically, every department that you could think of that does something on campus usually has student employees there. So the media team for the school has student employees. One of my friends is on the audio team, so he works in like the sound studio for the school, and he works the sound for the devotionals and things like that. There's also students who work the cameras for the different media events for the school and things like that as well. There's a student leadership department that helps manage the different clubs on campus. There's also a facilities management department for on campus where you would be taking care of the grounds and stuff on the school. And then our department that we are in is the Ho'okele department. And so our office, International Student Services, if you're so lucky and skilled, then you can come work with us. But yeah, that is a possibility. And also in our department is the admissions office, and they have lots of student workers as well. There are other offices in our department as well, but those are a couple of the main ones. And there's a lot more that we didn't mention on jobs on campus.
I worked at the gym before and just kind of, put away the weight, just help people. And I know there's also like all the landscaping and stuff. If you're a landscaper, you make more money than the other jobs on campus. So there's just other things to think about.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's like the Seasider activities. They plan on different big activities and events for the campus.
So it's a good job. Like you're just kind of partying at work, basically.
Yeah. And of course, a big one I left out was the residential life. Working in the hallways, you can be an RA, a resident advisor, and you can actually get you can get a discount off of your housing. Yeah. So that's another good one. It's a possibility for students as well. All right. So then moving on, once you do have a job, there are some different rules and regulations that all international students have to follow. And actually, I think most of these rules are for all the students on campus, period, who work an on-campus job. So one of the biggest ones is that while school is going on, you can only work a maximum of 19 hours per week. And if you go over 19 hours a week, then they'll report you to the HR office and you can get in trouble. Yeah, it's not good news. It happened to me a few weeks ago. They gave me a warning, but if I do it again, I'll like have some bad consequences. Yeah,
Don't do it.
And so yeah, that's while school is going on. It's up to 19 hours every week. During summer break, you can work up to 40 hours every week for 3 weeks. So 1 week you work 40, the next week you work 40, the next week you work 40. But then on the 4th week, you have to work 19 hours again. And then it just starts over once you've done that. Then you can do 40, 40, 40, 19 again. And also during other breaks, like winter break and spring break, other time between semesters, you can work up to 40 as well. Another thing a question that we get sometimes from some students is if they can have multiple jobs. And you can have multiple jobs on campus. You just have to make sure that they don't add up to more than 40 hours if it's during the summer. And if it's during the school year, then they can't add up to more than 19 hours in total. But you can have as many jobs as you want, technically, as long as you don't go over the total hour limits. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you have a job, you're supposed to submit your hours on a certain regular basis. So if you have an on-campus job, you're supposed to submit them every week. And once you do get a job, they'll go over in much more in depth how to submit the hours and things like that. But it's pretty easy to do. And so on campus, it's every week. PCC, it's every 2 weeks. Another thing for some of our international students is that our J1 students, you have to get authorization from our office before you can start work. So basically, it's just like a form that you have to take to the iWork office and to our office, and I don't remember, like 1 or 2 others, but you just have to get a signature from our advisors. It's pretty easy to do. So, yeah. And then finally, to start working, you're required to get a social security number. And this is something that once you get accepted to a job, they'll tell you how to do that as well and help guide you along in how to do that. But it's just something that we wanted to let you guys know about, so you weren't like super surprised when they told you had to get a social security number. And something I left out, this might be the most important one, is that international students, you're only allowed to work on campus or at PCC. You're not supposed to get any job or get paid from anything that isn't an on-campus job or from the PCC. So
yeah, you could lose your status if you work off campus on PCC. So don't do it.
Yes. So yeah, those are just a few of the rules and regulations. And like we said, once you get a job, they'll have orientations and tell you more in-depth information about the different rules for that job. I think this is lastly, we wanted to mention a little bit about some of the internship opportunities for our international students as well. So there's two different kind of types of internships that you can get depending on what visa type you have. There's AT and OPT. And so both of these are usually postgraduate internships that you can do. And they can be with any outside company. But you just have to get approval from our office before you can do it. And once you do get this type of internship, your visa can actually be extended for a certain amount of time to give you more time to stay here to complete the internship. And we know that you guys are going to be new students, so this isn't something that is going to be happening super soon, but it's something good to keep in mind because a lot of students come into our office and they have like never heard of AT or OPT, even though they're about to graduate. And so it's something that we wanted to let you guys know about. So, you know, down the road, you already knew the process of how to do it. And so AT is for J1 students, and J1 students can get an 18-month internship, so that you can get your visa extended for 18 months to stay after you graduate at the most. And for OPT, that's for our F1 students, and the maximum for that is a 12-month internship. So you could stay for another 12 months if you got an OPT after you graduated. Additionally, it doesn't have to be after you graduate. You could get one of these internships while you were in school as well. But if you did do that, it would take away from your total time. So if you got an internship 2 months before you graduated and you were going to get and it was an AT, then those 2 months would count towards your 18 months. You'd only have 16 months left after you graduate. Another thing to keep in mind for AT and OPTs, it has to be directly related to your major. So it can't be your minor, and it can't be like some random thing. It has to be something that is directly related to your major. And when you do your application, our office will look it over and decide if they think it applies to your major well enough. And like I mentioned, there's a whole application that you would submit, and then we would look it over and process it and hopefully approve it eventually. Yeah. So those are all the slides that we prepared. I don't know if you guys wanted to share anything else about your experiences working.
I guess I would just say, like, my biggest tip, kind of what I said before, just apply to all 5 jobs you're able to. Just look through that job board. There's a ton of them. Like Caden said, there's more posted every day. So just apply to all 5 of those jobs. And then once you do get an offer, just go into student employment, and they're super helpful with just figuring out all the forms you need and everything, and they'll guide you through the whole process. And that student employment office, just in the Lorenzo Snow building, and they're super helpful. It can be complicated at times, but they really simplify it for you. They tell you everything you need to, all the boxes you need to check. They'll help you get your social security number. So just really, they're super helpful, and utilize them.
Yeah.
I also, right before coming here, I applied for 5 jobs, and I wanted to get the results as quick as possible. But for the most of the time, they don't quickly just respond to my job application. So like you said, just apply 5 jobs at the same time and then wait for them to give you an interview. And also, as soon as you get here, try to get a job as soon as possible. So because it not only just give you opportunity to get money, but also you can get connection while working with your coworkers, or you can increase your English speaking skills. So yeah.
Of course, if you guys have any other questions, you can always stop by the office or give us a call, and we're super happy to work with you guys.
Yeah. And if you guys have any questions you want to ask right now, then now's the time. And yeah, like you said, if you later have any questions, then feel free to email us or ask us.
Any questions? Don't be shy. Like about work or campus, PCC, yeah, everything is fine. Feel free to ask.
Wow, no questions at all today. This is we must have been doing really good lately, because yesterday we actually did have a good amount of questions, but it took a little bit for you guys to get going. But wow, I guess
I have a question.
Okay.
How long does like one job would take you? Like, does it have to be like an entire semester, or like for the rest of your stay in BYU campus?
No, so since we just did the orientation this morning, we can answer that. And you can quit at any time. Like they call it at will work, I think, or something like that. But basically, you're not required to work for any specific amount of time. Like I'm sure your manager would love for you to say you're going to work for a semester, 2 semesters or whatever, but in reality, you can just quit at any time you want to.
I think so. It at least used to be a rule that for iWork students, they had to work at the PCC for a certain amount of time before they could get an on-campus job. But after COVID, I'm not sure if that changed or not. So that'd be something to look out from the iWork department or iWork office.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they said, if it's once you have an on-campus job, or if you're not iWork, then yeah, you can work
forever long.
Thank you.
And usually your supervisors and stuff are pretty good too. Like if you don't want to work the 19 hours a week, like you don't have to. I know there was one semester I was really busy with school. I had a ton of credits, and so I said, hey, can I just work like 10 or 12 hours this semester per week? And they were totally cool with that. They're really good with working with you, working around your schedule and stuff.
Any other questions?
I think I have a question too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is regarding the new change that regarding the iWork, the forgivable loan, the 50%. Now they had a new announcement that for starting spring of 2021, there won't be any 50% forgivable loan. It's going to be 100% grant for the iWork program. So earlier, guys, you talked about AT, that we could stay for an additional 18 months after we graduate. I'm a freshman. And so my question is, what if like we decide to stay? Now with that change in iWork, what are the possible ways, or what are the possible options for us to stay? Aside from marrying a domestic student or a citizen in the US, or being absorbed by your work, is there like any other options for us to stay?
I don't think so. I think like you either get married or get a job here or an internship. I think those are kind of the three things. To get married, obviously you can stay with your internship. You can get your visa extended, and then if you get a job, your job will sponsor you to get a visa. But I'm pretty sure those are the only 2 ways that I know of.
For this sponsorship, is it like a hard thing to find a company that is willing to sponsor you? Because like I did a little bit of research about that. They said for a company to be able to sponsor you, they've got to go through a lot, and they've got to pay money for it, and they've got to like prove to the government or to the state that you're special and that no domestic people can do that job. It's just you, something like that. Like, is it hard?
So it could possibly take some time, but it's not like something that's impossible to do. Like we have a lot of students who do AT and OPT who come in all the time. That's kind of one of the reasons why we wanted to mention it now, is because some students don't know about it till it's too late, and then they can't really.
I'm not talking about AT or OPT. I'm talking about after that. Like, what if after AT or OPT you decide to stay and like stay here for good, work here,
I see.
I think it just depends on the company, honestly. Like, so if you get hired by Google, they're going to be, of course, like amazing at just getting you through their system, getting you that visa and stuff. But if you go work for like Ace Hardware down the street, I'm sure they might not be super familiar with international law and whatnot. So I think it's super just individualized to the company. So I would just do some research on the specific companies you want to work for.
All right. Makes sense. So we just gotta we just gotta do a little bit of more research about the company we're planning to apply to.
Yeah, I know that's the question I'm thinking about a lot too these days, is like, how hard would it be for me to get like a work visa coming from Canada and stuff? So it's a good question. Yeah, I think it just comes down to the individual companies.
Makes sense. Sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Henjay, congratulations for your new job.
Yeah, we're excited to have them. Any other questions?
Oh, I have one, but it's not about today's topic.
That's okay.
So when I look at the website, you guys have international student service, and it has the contact us this category. When I click this one, it only shows up like the leadership and the advisor's name on it. I'm wondering, like, if you guys have the possibility to open the advising section, like to have the Zoom link, or like the kind of like advising session for our students to book, like in case sometimes we always email you guys like back and forth, and it takes so much time and effort, to get the results we want.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah.
We were just trained actually today saying if somebody calls in, we can say, hey, if you'd rather get on a Zoom link, we can do that. So if you just like give a quick call or even an email saying like, hey, I would love to hop on a Zoom, then any of us can send you a Zoom link and try and answer your questions through Zoom if you'd like that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, for meeting with an advisor, like they mentioned, like if you want it faster, maybe calling might be a good option to set up an appointment. But that is a good idea to put it on our website. I think they're starting to work on our website more and trying to digitize more things. But
yeah, I think for now, like just call and say, hey, I'd love to get on a Zoom with you guys quick, and we can do that.
Yeah, I think having Zoom sessions would be better. I mean, like doing phone call is quite efficient, but it's not that helpful, because like one of my friends called you guys' apartment for 2 weeks, like every single day just for visa. And then it takes so much time like to do it. So I'm wondering if we have Zoom session, like sometimes we can ask for more specific questions, and that would be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're actually, we haven't sent out this announcement yet, but we're going to be starting a sort of Zoom session that we do every week with the advisors. It's going to be every Wednesday, I think at 3 Hawaii time. So it'll start next Wednesday, I believe. And it'll just be a time where anyone can drop in and join the Zoom meeting, and there will be advisors available to talk to. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one last thing. I just had a concern like 2 days ago when I attended the first day of like doing this Zoom session. Like it's in regards with the housing stuff, because I think I'm not sure if you remember, like Caden, was it Caden?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gave you my student ID, and I haven't heard from you guys yet. But this is about the blackouts. Like
yeah, I do remember that. We I gave your, because Vinay was with me, and he was starting to look. He was like taking down your information and starting to look into it. But dang, I guess he didn't get back.
Because I'm still wondering, like, am I gonna be like rebooking the or like rescheduling my flight because I booked it on August 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know about when I booked it, I didn't know about the blackouts yet because like when I saw the housing contract, it was only stated that I can come to like campus from July 5 up until August 27. It didn't like emphasize the blackout dates actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was just wondering.
Yeah, so the blackout dates are ones where I think they don't have any housing, like you're not allowed to check into housing or something.
Oh yeah, I ran into that problem too.
That's pretty new to me actually, because I got a media like supposed to be spring up last year, and I didn't know about like I haven't heard about like the blackout days and all. So that's why I was wondering if like what's the news about that?
Mm-hmm.
Are there
Yeah,
housing?
well,
For me, I know this. I just got here like a month or two ago, and I had the same thing. Like I booked my flight, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, like you can only show up on a Monday." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like,
Yeah.
and I hate to say this, but I had to just reschedule, and I think it cost me a little bit of extra money. So I don't know of any other solutions or anything like that. That's just my experience with it.
Yeah. I know Vinay was starting to look at your stuff. He was just here, but he left to go into a meeting. But I'll remind him once he comes back, and
Well,
I'll make
so
sure to
much.
send you an email before we leave the office today.
I'd appreciate
Just
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, and then we have a couple questions in the chat. One of them says, the students have AT during the undergraduate years. Does that affect students' graduation date?
That's what we were kind of wondering earlier.
I don't believe it affects your graduation date because it doesn't count as like a class or anything like that. So
Yeah, I think it stays the same.
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how it works if you have, because sometimes you can get an internship and get credits for it, but I'm not 100% sure how it works. But it shouldn't change your graduation date if you just got an AT.
And you can request an extension, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you want to, one or two semesters.
Yeah. Hopefully we answered that question well. And then we also have someone asking, what is the blackout? So that was kind of like we mentioned, the housing office has certain dates where you can't check into housing during that time. So they don't want anyone arriving on campus really during that time. I'm looking up right now to see what those dates are.
Yeah, I wish they would make those more clear before you, or just make it more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, never mind. I'm not gonna say it, but the housing office, they have a lot going on. We'll just say that.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Yeah, I think they have like the certain dates that you're approved to check in. Yeah, because like the approved dates are July 6 to 31 and August 16 to 27. The rest of that you can't come to campus.
Okay, sweet.
So are you just wondering if you can still come on the day you booked already, or what do you specifically want?
Because like I booked mine on August 6, 2021, and they said do not arrive or check in. No check-in allowed on August 1 to 15, and June 28 to July 5. So all those dates you're not allowed to like go to campus yet. But after I booked my ticket, or after I informed them that I've already booked my ticket.
So that was my airline. They could reschedule it pretty easily. Like I just went on and looked at my purchase history, and they just I was able to choose a new day. I think I might have had to pay like $50 because of that day was a little more expensive. It wasn't any like transaction fee, but I think that's just kind of your best bet. Try and get on there as quick as possible and reschedule it.
Yeah, most likely.
Or you could just come on that day and stay in a hotel, I guess.
And be homeless in Hawaii for like 10 days.
Yeah, just bring a tent.
Yeah.
Which I think you won't be alone in that.
Yeah,
like
there
there's
are.
a lot of students.
Because like
having
students
that.
needs to be quarantined for 10 days, yeah?
No.
Yeah, so
You do?
There's no quarantine.
If you have a negative test, no.
yeah, if you get tested right before, yeah. But if you aren't, then I think you do still have to quarantine.
Yeah. So just get the like certified test, and then they'll waive the 10-day quarantine. I just had to I had to stay in quarantine for like half a day until I emailed them my exemption that I got from the airline. Like when I arrived in Hawaii, they just give it to you. So I just like sent them a picture of that, and then they'll waive the quarantine.
And also, I got here in April, and I was quarantined for 7 days, or 5 days. But I have a friend who got here in May, and she didn't get quarantined at all. So you may check with the school
Yeah, they just changed
just to make
it.
sure. In case.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone asked if I have secure. I'm guessing if I have to secure off-campus housing, will I still need to quarantine? So
If you have your sheet that says you have a negative test. then
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to-
If you get the exemption, then yes, it's like you won't. But if you didn't get the exemption, then it's the same as on campus. You still have to quarantine for however long. Just in your off-campus housing.
Yeah, because that's like that's a state rule, not a school rule, really.
Mhm. Yeah. What were we just saying?
Any other questions? But yeah, there's actually, so just look on Safe Travels Hawaii's website, and they've got like there's some tests that they won't accept. So if you get the wrong one and you're negative and you come, then they'll still make you quarantine. So just make sure your airline or whatever is on like the approved list for Safe Travels Hawaii, because I know some students kind of got tripped up with that. They took the wrong test and they're saying, hey, I got this negative. Why do I still have to quarantine? There's like a few specific tests Hawaii accepts. So just make sure you get the right one.
This is really important because I have a friend from Korea. There are only like 3 officer hospitals that accept the test from Hawaiian like state government, and he actually took the test from other hospital, and he didn't get accepted. That's why he needs to be quarantined for 14 days, even though he got the test.
Just make sure it's on Safe Travels
The
Hawaii.
right place in your country.
Yeah, they've got some really helpful videos on the Safe Travels Hawaii website. You just look that up.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be really helpful.
Sweet. Anyone else have any questions? Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, if there's not, then we can wrap up for today.
Yeah, we're excited to see you guys on campus when you get here.
Yeah, and we thank you guys all for joining our meeting today. We're glad to see our familiar faces who have returned and everyone who is new who hasn't come to the other meetings. Like I mentioned, every day we have these meetings every day this week. So tomorrow at 4, make sure to come back. We'll be talking about going to town. So we'll be talking about going to Honolulu and some of the different fun things to do there, as well as just places to go. So it's a more fun one. So that'll be good. And we hope to see you there. And with that, mahalo everyone and aloha.
See you guys. Thank you. Mahalo.